My name is Majd. I'm a first-year student here at TMU, studying environmental and sustainability, and I'm also the founder of Proton Fuels, an energy company working to build out a national network of hydrogen fueling stations to enable the use of fuel cell vehicles. So fuel cell vehicles are electric cars. They drive the same way, they function the same way. They're electric cars. The only difference is they use hydrogen instead of a battery. Now this comes with many advantages, primarily stemming from the fact that hydrogen is much more energy dense. You put a lot more energy for less weight. So this comes with many advantages, and many car companies have capitalized on it. I mean, you have Toyota and Hyundai selling these cars worldwide. The only difference is that there's nowhere to fuel them. So within this project and within this course, the business is really split into a few different parts. One is, of course, the prototype itself, the physical construction of it. This involves the design, the engineering, consulting with experts, speaking with different people, making sure that I can conform to all the regulations regarding this type of technology. But there's also, equally importantly, the business side. So of course, securing funding, which is extremely important, networking, building connections, research programs, as well as social media, marketing. There's a whole bunch of things that go into it. And I really wanted to improve both of those going into this course. But I also wanted to improve my own personal skills. And that's because, of course, I'm the founder of this company, I'm running it. It's very important to improve my own personal skills where I can, which would allow me to ensure that not only am I running the company, but I'm running it well. And I'm running it in the best possible way and not really missing out on potential opportunity. The most important thing I learned throughout this journey in this course is actually not about the specific technology itself. I mean, most people in this course are not even familiar with hydrogen fuel technology. But the biggest thing I learned, and the most important thing I learned, is about how they choose to solve their problems. We're all in a class of different diverse viewpoints, different ideas, educational backgrounds, but because of that, we all have our own different way of approaching problems, and that's what I learned from people. I could see them, even though they have a totally different problem, totally different industry, the way they choose to solve that problem, the skills they employ in solving that problem was very important, and that's what I really learned a lot from. Throughout this project, I didn't really think there were a lot of setbacks, a lot of serious setbacks. I mean, in any project of this type, or any tech company, and many other companies, many other sectors, often the biggest challenge is not making progress. That's really the only setback that you have in many cases. There wasn't any catastrophic issue that stopped this project from going forward, but there are sometimes weeks on end where you have not much happening, not many updates happening, and it can be discouraging for some people. And the way I solve that is just by going out there and figuring out different things that I can do that are still important for the company, but will allow me to keep moving forward even if one thing is really slow. It's also important, I think, to have a couple of main priorities for the company working at the same time. That way you don't really have a week where nothing is happening at all. It's unlikely that you're going to have all different aspects of the company completely shut down. It's going to be, okay, social media, not much updates are happening there. This random part that I'm waiting to source, nothing's happening there. But if you have overall a wide variety of aspects of your business that you're working on, I think that's really a good way to always keep busy and really not get discouraged when those things happen. This thing that I learned from end users, from customers, is not actually about the technology, because of course, similarly to what I learned from my peers, most people are not really familiar with this technology. Even our customers that would eventually buy our fuel, they don't have to know a lot about the company or know a lot about hydrogen to use it. And that's by design, of course. I want it to be as simple as possible. But the biggest thing I learned is that there's a huge knowledge gap between people who really don't know at all what this technology is and don't know at all about its benefits. And that's something that I learned a lot from speaking to different people who found it to be an incredibly interesting technology, and they appreciate the benefits of it. It's just that they have not really come to understand the true importance of it and how they could benefit from it by using this technology. The biggest thing I learned about myself throughout this course is actually that I'm relatively self-motivated. I think that, just generally speaking, my approach is to take on a project that I think is so important and so necessary that you don't need motivation. I don't need to have a good day or be in a good mood to work on this. I think it's important, it's a good use of my time, and by devoting myself to that type of thing, I don't need motivation at all. And I found myself very inclined to persevere, very inclined to self-motivate and push through, even in the face of adversity, even in the face of slow progress, even in the face of not being as interested in doing other things. I'm always interested in working on this project and advancing my goals. Now, since starting on this project, there have been a number of significant advancements that I've made. primarily on the business side in terms of the networking, the contacts that I've made, connecting with programs that are very important to provide us with funding, as well as the resources that are needed to complete this project. And so that was very important. That I think is in and of itself an incredible achievement. But there's also been a number of updates on the side of the physical unit itself. We've worked with various programs such as Centennial College. They have a great funding program that I went with, and they give us access to their engineers to design 3D models and to, using 3D CAD software, design this prototype to optimize it before we actually start physically building it. So an individual component, such as, for example, hydrogen tanks, can be optimized in a computer software, and then we can design the best possible way to install it in real life, saving us time, saving us money. Overall, it's been a great project. Throughout this project, I've spoken to countless people. Of course, it was very useful to have the self-reporting aspect, so every time I speak to somebody, I would record it, take note of the person I spoke to and why that was important. That was very useful, especially with the bi-weekly sessions we would have. And I spoke to countless people, made many new connections. So going forward from this point, as we continue to move forward beyond this course, my next steps are, of course, to finish building this prototype. Now, for a lot of different businesses, it's actually pretty easy to move forward with just an idea. You can find funding, just an idea, but the problem is with this sector, you really need to have a working product in order for you to be able to get any type of funding. And that's true for many other sectors as well. You have to have a working product, you have to show what your technology is in order for somebody to even look at it, to give you money, to even listen to. And so that's what we're going to continue to do. The prototype itself, many advancements have been made, many opportunities in terms of funding have been started, and I hope to continue those going forward to finish this prototype, and so we can work towards beginning to work to implement this prototype. Throughout working on my company through this course, I wouldn't necessarily classify different events, different moments as highs and lows. And the reason why is I think it's very, just personally, I think it's very important to ensure sustainable growth of the company and sustainable advancement. So it's more important to me to ensure that the overall trajectory of the company is doing well. It's overall on making progress, as opposed to today was really bad, today was really good, especially adding that with my view on how motivation works, right? I think this is important. I have to work towards it, work towards this goal. As long as I'm working towards this goal, as long as I'm making progress towards the finitude, I don't really need to have daily satisfaction in terms of this important thing happened or this important thing happened. Now, since starting on this project, I've also made some significant advancements within the industry. A lot of this is not really visible from the outside, but there's a lot of important work that happens on the inside of a company in terms of the public image. Connecting with a lot of industries since starting on this project, I've connected with at least 25 different companies who have all working in this sector in Ontario, and that's going to be very useful for once I get ready to launch. I'm going to need to make these partnerships, and I'm going to need to ensure that I can properly work within this industry, right? These are industry players, and I have to be an industry player to be successful. So these connections that I've made are very important, and I obviously plan to continue in the future. But beyond just the company, I also plan to continue to improve my own skills. I plan to continue to learn, continue to make improvements where possible, while I improve technology as well. While I work to implement technology, that's essentially just the overall trajectory of where I'm taking. Now, generally looking back on this course and the work that I've done during it, I think it's overall was a great experience. I mean, a lot of opportunities to network, to learn, to share what I've learned, as well as learn from people. And I think that's probably the biggest benefit of this course, the fact that you're in a room with so many people who think the same way, even if they're working on different projects. They have similar ideas, similar ways of thinking, and of course, the difference is what we learn from. So when somebody thinks differently than me, that's when it's time to actually, maybe they're doing something better, maybe they're not, maybe I need to help them. But really, it was a great environment to share, to learn, to understand, and of course, to all of us work towards improving our own projects. This is something that I really plan to continue going forward beyond this course. I want to continue to learn, continue to hear other perspectives and other things from people. And I think that's also something that I learned through self-reflection. I think that in retrospect, I should have gone into this course with a little bit more of an open mind, with no expectations, with just more willing to learn. Whereas I think for some parts of it, I was a little hesitant to learn, a little bit hesitant to take on a certain idea or implement an idea within my project, thinking that I've got this, I know what works and what doesn't. Whereas through this course, I've really come to learn that actually there's a lot more that there is to learn, a lot more opportunities to improve than I initially understood. So that's something I plan to continue in the future. Finally, in closing, I think the biggest takeaway, the most important value of this course, in my view, is the opportunity to learn something new, the opportunity to do something different. We've all probably been working on these projects for long before this course, but this was an opportunity for us to take a moment and reflect on what we've been doing, obviously continue to work, but also take an opportunity and take a moment to learn, to maybe change our views, to see what other people are doing, right? Share with them, of course, but also be open to learning from them and potentially change, potentially improve based on other things that we learn. And that, I think, is the most important value of this course and something that I will continue going forward. And with that, I thank you.